Good afternoon. I'm going to go over the campus carry policy. Campus carry overview is via Senate Bill 11, which we call the campus carry law. This was effective August 1st, 2017, and it allows handgun license holders to carry a concealed weapon on college campuses. Violators, of course, are subject to criminal penalties, and it applies to all CTCD employees, students, and guests. Central campus and service area campus locations is under Senate Bill 11, but it does not apply to Fort Hood campus or any of our other military locations. Texas Government Code 411, it identifies what actually is a campus. And for this section, campus means all land, buildings owned or leased by an institution of higher education or private or independent institution of higher education. So prior to Senate Bill 11, you could, if you had a handgun license, carry a weapon in your vehicle on college property, but now they've extended that to buildings. Senate Bill 11, it does not allow for open carrying of handguns. So open carry is still prohibited on all institutions of higher education, including CTC. Carrying of firearms other than a concealed handgun is illegal. So they can't have people coming out here walking around on in the parking lots or the sidewalks, open carrying rifles and shotguns or whatever like they did in Temple. That's strictly prohibited on school property. You must have a Texas approved handgun license in order to carry a concealed handgun on campus. So CTC is not obligated to, will not provide storage of handguns on any area on campus. So the student lockers you see throughout some of the buildings are just for books and backpacks, but you can't put any handguns in there. And we're putting up signs now prohibiting handgun storage in any of the student lockers. Safe storage is the responsibility of the license holder. And really, the only place you can store a handgun if you're not carrying it into one of the buildings is inside your personally owned or leased vehicle. FAQs, and these are a little different than the ones that are online. Can others find out if I'm licensed to carry a concealed handgun? Well, generally, an individual is not required to disclose that to anybody except law enforcement, and law enforcement really has to have a reason to inquire about a handgun license. And that would be maybe someone called and said that there was an accidental reveal, or they saw this person's handgun. Then of course law enforcement would go and check it out and make sure they had a valid handgun license. Other than that, it's not your business to ask people if they have a handgun, a concealed handgun on them. You'd be violating their civil rights, and we don't want to do that. If you don't allow handguns, and we'll get to this a little further, in your office, all you have to do is verbally tell people, and it has to be a sole occupant office. Do police officers have the right to disarm me? Yes, if a police officer reasonably believes a safety risk exists, he or she may disarm you. And like I said, if we get called to someone that's violated the campus carry law, we're going to probably disarm them until we ascertain that they have a handgun license and that license is valid. And we just ask you comply, be courteous and non-confrontational, and follow the officer's directions. If my handgun is in my backpack, am I still considered to be carrying? The law requires carrying a handgun on or about the license holder. So if you have it in your backpack, as long as that backpack is kept within your reach, then you are complying with the law. So a license holder who has a concealed handgun in their backpack must keep the backpack easily within reach without materially changing their position. If my handgun is in the seat beside me in my car, am I violating the campus carry law? Then it would not be concealed if it's just sitting in the seat beside you. Make sure if you're transporting a handgun, it is concealed. What do I do if I'm confronted by an armed gunman? And this is something that we teach on campus. It's called run, hide, and fight. So run, always choose this as your first option. You're gonna run away from any gunfire, of course, while you're calling 911. Hide or barricade yourself somewhere safe, whether it be in a classroom or in a restroom or somewhere where you're away from the threat. Fight is, of course, as a last resort, and is only used to save your life. And we see this more and more where people are, taking charge of people that are threatening their life because we know that the gunman is only there to kill as many people as possible. So do what you have to do to survive. Campus carry. Where can I legally carry my concealed handgun on campus? Grounds, buildings, or portions of buildings, sidewalks, walkways, driveways, and parking lots not designated as gun-free zones either by law or by policy. So by law, daycare, early childhood education, those areas are gun-free. CTC mental health care locations are gun-free during individual and group sessions. Areas involving sporting or interscholastic events. Polling locations, including during early voting. Board of Trustee meeting locations. All ISD locations. Locations prohibited by law. Mayborn Science Theater during events specifically for minors. Sole occupant offices at the occupant's discretion, and disciplinary or grievance locations. Morton Hall residence housing it's gun-free but not gun-free. We're not going to allow them in the resident rooms, but they can have them in the lobby, in your common areas, lobby, the game room. I think they have a common study area downstairs, but they can't have them stored in their rooms for many reasons, and one's because we don't have any gun safes. Locations where dangerous chemicals are stored, and just off the top of my head, the chemistry lab is one area that it would specifically be a gun-free area. CTCD owned, rented, or leased vehicles only during transport for minors. So in our original draft policy, we weren't going to allow any CTC employees who travel to have a concealed weapon. And of course, during our forums, it came out that, that's when you need to have a weapon so you can protect yourself. A lot of times you don't know where you're going. You've never been to this area of maybe San Antonio or Fort Worth or even Oklahoma or somewhere, wherever you're going traveling on behalf of the college. So as long as you're not transporting minors, as per policy, you can carry a concealed handgun. Areas containing critical college infrastructure, and one of the areas that I can think of just offhand is right next door. We have our power plant that has our boilers, and they store chemicals. They have a tank outside that filters water or something. That would be a critical infrastructure. Now that doesn't mean that those workers can't take them into their office, because our office is separated from the areas with critical college infrastructure. Areas where contractual or licensing obligations exclude carrying firearms, which I can't think of anything offhand. Maybe the L-Check in Lampasas, where we send, it's a city-owned building, and we send instructors to teach classes there. That type of thing, contractual. So posting of notice, and this is the Texas Penal Code 30, we call it 30-6 sign. These are the signs that will be posted in those gun-free areas. We will have some permanent locations, but for the most part, the permanent locations are very few. And that is the counseling center area and the early childhood development over on Clear Creek. But with the exception of sole occupant offices, use of a location as a gun-free zone requires CTC to post an approved sign, that's the 30-6, for the duration of time the area is used as a gun-free zone. So we'll have areas that might be temporarily gun-free, and it could be an event for minor children, or it could be a disciplinary action going on in that room or in that building, and then as soon as it's over, then the signs will come down. Policy exceptions. This policy does not apply to law enforcement officers, students enrolled or participating in CTCD authorized courses using authorized weapons, managers, supervisors, instructors utilizing authorized weapons for instruction, the TDCJ and military bases. Of course, you can't take a weapon into a prison unless you want to stay. ISD or pre-K to 12 educational facilities where CTCD courses are taught. And that's all for our gun-free locations. And then if you see a violation on campus, we would like you to report it to the campus police so that we can ascertain whether or not this person is actually authorized to carry a concealed weapon on campus. So our department phone number is area code 254-526-1427. And if there's an emergency that exists, let's say someone threatens someone with a weapon, of course we would want you to call 911. All the CTC policies, including this presentation and the FAQs that we came up with probably the beginning of the year, are available online at ctcd.edu. Disciplinary actions, and it's like anything else that happens. A student shoplifts at the bookstore, they may get arrested, but we also do disciplinary action against them. Same with the campus carry law. So if students violate the campus carry policy or the law, they're subject to disciplinary action and arrest, or both. And usually it's both. And same with employees. They violate the policy, they violate the law, they can go to jail, and they can also be terminated. And this is whatever comes under the HR policies and procedure manual.